Imagine if the very place your child learns to read and write is also where their anxieties first take root. That's the reality for millions of families. And today, we're tackling it head-on. I'm Sia, your science-informed assistant and narrator here at Empathic Psychologist, where we believe every family deserves support grounded in the latest research. Have you ever wondered how evidence-based interventions differ from well-meaning guesswork? Think of evidence-based as using a GPS, while guesswork is just wandering with a paper map. In this episode, you'll learn how to spot anxiety in the classroom, what accommodations actually help, and why peer and therapist involvement is a game changer. So, if you're a parent, teacher, or just someone who cares, stick with me. Let's break down real strategies for real kids, together. Did you know that between 10% and 20% of children experience significant anxiety? That's as many as 1 in 5 kids. Now, you might be thinking, is this just nerves or something more? Researchers distinguish between occasional worry and clinical anxiety. Think of it as the difference between a passing storm and a season of rain. Statistically, the classroom is often ground zero for anxiety to show up. It's where kids face social pressures and academic demands simultaneously. With these numbers, it's clear, ignoring anxiety isn't an option. That's why schools and parents need to be partners, not just bystanders. Let's unpack how to spot anxiety's warning signs before it starts impacting learning and friendships. What does childhood anxiety look like in the classroom? It's not always a child crying or refusing to walk in. Consider symptoms like frequent headaches or stomach aches. These are what psychologists call somatic complaints, which means the body is speaking the mind's stress. Withdrawal from peers, perfectionism, and avoiding group activities can also be red flags, but they're easily mistaken for shyness or just bad days. Imagine a teacher noticing a child erasing their work repeatedly or hiding during recess. That's not just quirkiness, it's a call for support. As parents and educators, sharpening our observational skills is the first step to real help. Are you seeing these patterns at home or school? It's time to start a conversation. Let me ask you, how often do you share observations with your child's teacher or school counselor? If the answer is rarely, you're not alone. When parents and teachers pool information, they can spot patterns like a child who gets stomach aches both at home and school. This collaboration creates what psychologists call an ecological assessment. Think of it as building a full mosaic, not just looking at one tile. A parent might say, "My child dreads group work." A teacher observes, "She's quiet in class, but animated during art." Together, that's actionable data. So, reach out, share what you see, and invite your child's educators to do the same. That's how real solutions begin. When anxiety is identified, what's next? Practical classroom accommodations can make all the difference. Think of accommodations like ramps for students with mobility needs here. They're emotional ramps. A designated quiet space gives a child room to self-regulate, much like a pressure valve releasing steam. Flexible scheduling like extra time on tests levels the playing field for anxious students, not by lowering expectations, but by removing unnecessary barriers. Now, some may worry, are we coddling kids? Research says, no, we're scaffolding, not sheltering. A nurturing classroom is one where every child can step forward at their own pace, with support, never with stigma. What if your child dreads speaking in front of the class? Should you just let them skip it? The evidence says gradual exposure works best. In psychology, this is called systematic desensitization. Think of it as wading into the shallow end before swimming laps. Start by having the child present to just the teacher. Next, add a friend. Slowly, they build confidence for the full group. Now you might ask, won't this embarrass my child? Actually, it empowers them to stretch just outside their comfort zone, not leap into panic. Gradual steps lead to lasting courage. It's not about avoidance, it's about preparation and progress. Ever noticed your child freezes during timed tests? For anxious kids, time pressure can turn a quiz into an ordeal. Flexible timelines, like allowing extended deadlines, use the principle of load management, similar to athletes pacing themselves to avoid injury. This isn't about giving an unfair advantage. It's about matching the tempo to the child's capacity for stress management, a core concept in educational psychology. Some might worry, will my child learn to procrastinate? Actually, with clear expectations and support, kids build self-regulation, not avoidance. Ask your child's teacher about flexible options. It could mean the difference between anxiety spiraling and steady achievement. Let's talk about the power of peers. Did you know that peer support programs can cut down feelings of isolation for anxious children? These programs act as a social buffer. Imagine a shock absorber on a bumpy road, softening emotional jolts. Pairing a child with an understanding buddy or mentor helps them feel seen and normalizes their worries. You might ask, couldn't this single kids out? Not if it's done thoughtfully. The goal is inclusion. Knit anxious children into the fabric of the class, not set them apart. When kids see that others share similar struggles, their social confidence grows, one supportive interaction at a time. Sometimes, classroom tweaks aren't enough. That's when school counselors step in with structured support programs. A cornerstone here is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, a bit like giving kids a mental toolkit for fixing unhelpful thoughts and reactions. School-based CBT adapts clinical concepts right into the school day, blending education with coping skills. Ever wonder if this is real help? Numerous studies confirm that CBT in schools can lower anxiety symptoms and boost self-efficacy, the belief in one's own abilities. If you're unsure what your school offers, ask. A quick conversation with a therapist or psychologist could open doors to meaningful support. Here's a question. Can schools alone solve childhood anxiety? The answer is clear. Family engagement is crucial. When everyone's on the same page, parents, teachers, counselors, children feel supported from every angle. In science, this is called the systems approach, like all gears in a machine working in sync. Family involvement means sharing strategies, aligning on goals, and reinforcing progress at home and at school. Imagine a situation where a child learns a breathing exercise at school, then practices it with a parent before bed. That's synergy in action. So don't hesitate. Reach out to the school, ask questions, and become an active part of your child's support system. Feeling empowered? Here's how to put knowledge into action. Schedule a meeting with your child's teacher to discuss a tailored support plan. Bring specific examples. Maybe your child avoids assemblies or clings on school mornings. That's actionable data for the school team. Ask about what accommodations are available. Quiet spaces, flexible deadlines, peer programs, and access to the school counselor. Offering a designated quiet space where the child can go for emotional regulation when feeling overwhelmed. Allowing flexible scheduling, such as extra time for tests or extended deadlines for assignments. Gradually adjusting exposure to stressful tasks, such as allowing a child to present a project to the teacher privately before speaking in front of the entire class. Additionally, peer support programs offer tremendous benefits. Connecting a child with understanding peers or a key adult in school can significantly reduce a child's feelings of isolation. When children realize that others share similar worries, their social confidence naturally begins to improve. You might wonder, is this too much to ask? Remember, schools are partners in your child's journey. An early intervention is always more effective than crisis management. Start the conversation. Each small step you take can make a world of difference for your child's well-being. To recap, first, recognize the signs anxiety isn't always obvious. Second, collaborate with teachers for a complete picture. Third, don't underestimate the power of tailored accommodations and support programs. Your action step: reach out this week to your child's school, set up a meeting, ask about anxiety support, and share your insights. Remember, evidence-based interventions like CBT and peer support are your GPS, not just a map. You might be wondering, what about long-term progress? That's exactly what we'll explore in our next episode. tracking outcomes, and building resilience for the future. So, make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast provider, and follow us on social media to stay updated. Share your questions or challenges. Let's build future episodes around what matters most to you. You are your child's strongest advocate, and with science on your side, you're never alone. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.